Welcome to this week's episode of the Confetti Hour podcast. I'm your host, Renee Sabo, and this week I have two special guests on the podcast, and it's a, husband and wife duo who I just look up to so much in the industry, and I'm just really excited to have them on sharing their wealth and knowledge. So I'm sitting down with Persephone and Eduardo with the Media Socialite. You guys are going to get to know Persephone and Eduardo a little bit better. We're going to hear all about their journey, how they've become such a powerhouse in this industry, and then we are going to hear tips and tricks on knowing the importance of your channels and why website analytics matter. I'm so excited for you guys to get to know these guys. So without further ado, please help me welcome Persephone and Eduardo. Hi, guys. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having us.
I'm so excited to get you guys on. This is such an honor. So I'm really happy to spend some time with you. We have to say happy birthday first to Persephone. So happy birthday.
I'm excited to spend it with you.
Yeah, me too. I hope you're doing some fun things this weekend too. We're recording on a Friday, so yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Of course. Well, I know you guys a little bit. I'm not going to spoil it, but I feel like you have a really unique route to how you became full-time and full-fledged in this business. So
Yes.
yeah.
A windy road, one that I dragged Eddie along with me. Willingly, very willingly. It started I was at Wedding Wire and The Knot, and I was there for about 10 or 11 years and was a little baby intern, worked my way up, literally doing whatever they needed done on the website to working on strategic partnerships with big brands like Target and Monique Lhuillier and jewelry and venues and just basically everyone spending a lot of money who needed digital media campaigns and social campaigns and influencer campaigns before that was the thing.
Wow.
And I loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
But, it's very rare to be at a position for 10 years, especially in this day and age. And about 5 years in, I started to plot my exit and what was going to be my next thing. So,
Yeah.
we have to just
It's
always.
natural. Yeah.
It is, especially if you're a true entrepreneur. And
Yeah.
I launched a page called Bridal Vogue, and that reaches 230,000 followers now. But at the time,
Crazy.
it's bananas. Before, when Instagram was so kind to us and allowed us to see extreme amount of growth like that.
Yeah. Yeah. These days it's a little more challenging, which I'm sure we'll touch on.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
For sure. But from there, people naturally started to come to me asking how I could help them. And so the Media Socialites is the parent company. Bridal Vogue is a subsidiary of that. And as I was learning just Instagram, Eddie and I actually were at nighttime and first thing in the morning learning all of the data behind social. So he was handling a lot of clubs in DC on social.
That's kind of cool though. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was, to be honest, I didn't want to be left behind.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a trailblazer. You got to keep up. Okay.
For sure. And I was like, this is so cool. I was she's so passionate. I was like, teach me.
Yeah.
Teach me your ways.
Yeah.
know? So
I love that you were interested in the data side too, because I feel like people don't realize, which we'll talk about, it goes hand in hand. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's always been really both of our strengths, but I would say yours more from an analytical perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was still working in sales and I just went guns ablaze and until we could teeter off to this place of okay, we both can find our own lanes within this space. So I'm more of the strategy, visionary, creative, and he's the data guy.
I'm the doer and the
data guy.
That's amazing. And I mean, over the years, you also then became full-time, right, Eddie?
Yes,
you just.
I'm actually employee number 8. Mm-hmm. So
Oh, wow.
Technically.
Yeah. So you weren't that important. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love you.
That's
yeah. Well, totally. I understand that life with my husband and I. So I love it though. And I know you have quite the team. How many employees are now with you guys?
So 65 full-time and then another
10
contractors.
That's crazy.
I know it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful process, and I feel like this year in particular, we've really like solidified who our team is and what they bring to the table, and up leveling what that bar even looks like.
Absolutely. I mean,
And
it's been one of those things that's very challenging, but also very fulfilling to like
completely,
Yeah.
really understand like who fits and like how to attract those people.
hmm
It's been
Yeah.
really beautiful to see
yeah,
that.
And I feel like super rewarding, to be able to, like, build such a strong team and give them, strong jobs, like, that's incredible. I imagine what you guys do is a lot of fun. I know hard work, but, it's hard to, be able to offer that many creatives jobs, like, it really is, so props to you
yeah.
guys, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you. I think what's been cool about where we are today versus even the top of this year versus years past is we've started to shift the model of the business so that we've been very well known for social, but there's so
yeah,
many other elements that as we started to like pull back the layers, obviously
Hmm.
content plays a role in that.
yeah.
But then like Google and SEO and SEM and now really positioning and
Mm,
have been operating for the past, I'd say like 2 years in full as a full 360 marketing agency. People don't understand what that means, or they're just like
no.
scared of like, what is that? And I don't even know what I don't know. And so they get,
Especially within, like, the wedding and events industry, like, I think it's just so many small businesses and people that think it's just, like, Instagram that they should focus on,
Hmm.
but
right,
I'm, like, a big proponent of well, that's, like, why I love having people like you on this podcast, but also just, like, you don't own Instagram, so, like, it's, like, scary for me to only put myself on that platform, like, we need
yeah.
to be thinking about SEO, our blog, like and then there's, like, hundreds of things I probably don't even know that I can't wait to, like, learn from you guys, so, yeah, but that is so true, and I don't think people realize it at all, so
Yeah, and I think, the majority of the people that we work with within this space are small business owners. And even those who are larger business owners are still operating, the majority of them, maybe a team of like max 30, maybe 50 for the majority of them. But a good chunk is, it's a solopreneur or
Yeah,
a small team. And so to think about all of those layers of things that are outside of your specialty is really hard. And I think where we kind of started to pull back and make more sense of this year more than any other year is data and how you can look at it and understand like, is this working for me or is this a waste of time? Is this converting for me or is this a waste of time? And looking at
yeah.
analytics, even though it's not like the sexiest, most beautiful thing, it's the underbelly of like
yeah,
the success of what we're doing as our company is concerned, but also for our partners. And it's just there's like a big
Yeah.
question mark as to going there,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that people are scared to look at the data, but I also think there's so much, like, power with knowing the
That's it.
data, and also, like, it's an investment to do a lot of these
Yeah,
things, so it really is important, like, is this working? Is it not working? Like, h and it changes. I could go on. I can't wait for us to dive even deeper, so but it does change so much over the years, so, like, how are we reaching the right clients and what are
Totally.
they consuming? So, I'm so fascinated by that.
Yeah.
I do before we dive in completely though, I do wanna ask, like, because you were talking about how you're very, like, 360 marketing agency now, which is so awesome,
thank you.
because there's a lack of that. There's a lack of service
Yeah,
providers in this specific, industry. So,
yeah.
what does that look like in terms of the services you offer? Like, how are you helping, businesses?
Totally. So thank you for asking. The biggest piece, well, it's actually three kind of big chunks, if you will. The first is content creation and production, and now wedding content creation as well. We've been doing that for our
Yeah,
vendor partners for a long time, but just creating an agency within an agency for wedding content creation is a huge chunk of the business. So we can use that content for our partners for TikToks and reels and ads and
yeah.
whatever. Then the meat and potatoes of it, if you will, is ads, Google, SEO, YouTube, obviously Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, and anything else that pops up. Now we're even doing Hulu ads, which I think is super cool.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
fun.
But it's just for us, it's like going where attention flows, and that's where we need to continue to be. So that's how we
Yeah.
continue to be able to diversify what we're offering. And then the last piece is influencers, and we work a lot with influencers. Actually, it's not something we ever really talk about, because it's
Yeah.
not always the most applicable for wedding vendors. But there's so much power in collaborating with engaged
Yeah.
influencers, and if
Yeah.
you do it properly. And so yeah, those are kind of the three buckets. And then of course, like
That's so
Eddie's
cool.
team, you can share a little bit about what you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we grew up as like a social media management company
Mm-hmm.
initially, and like that's really evolved to like channel management.
Mm-hmm.
So like what my
Okay.
team does, we handle most of the performance marketing. So like anything that is SMS,
Text,
email,
yeah.
or text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew what you meant, but that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the way down, yeah.
So text marketing, like Google ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads,
Mm-hmm.
and then we also handle a lot of the reporting.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you see in terms of value of like all of these different channels on a monthly basis? That's what
Yeah.
my team puts together and kind of shares with our clients.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So
awesome. It's so many layers, everything that you offer, and people really don't wanna be doing this for their own business. Like, I dabble a little because of this podcast, but, I know, like, we've talked offline about I, like, cannot wait to be outsourcing those things to you guys because
Can't wait to.
it's just I can't wait. It's just it is a lot, and it's also, like, we're not experts in this on our side of things, and where I'm
mhm,
an expert at wedding planning and designing,
Right.
right,
giant productions, but I do think that obviously there are things people can be doing now that are important. It's just like so awesome how you're helping so many businesses, both small and big, I imagine.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. And to go back a little bit, I love what you were saying about influencers and the way people can work with them. I think
Yes.
people are afraid to because they feel like, oh, they just want things for free.
Yeah.
That's like the thing. But I've had a few bloggers that I've worked with, and it was such a rewarding experience, and they are also like the easiest when in terms of marketing with them. They like want me to spread it worldwide, so it's
Of
yeah.
amazing.
course. Of
Yeah, but
course.
how like else have you seen it be beneficial for, I guess, specifically wedding vendors?
For sure. I think that the key is to not jump at every influencer opportunity. Make sure that there's a little bit of due diligence, which sounds like easy. I mean, we all do a little
Yeah,
due diligence on our clients, right? To make sure that they make sense. They're our core, like,
yeah,
buyer type, right?
right.
So you wouldn't want to work with an influencer who has like bad engagement. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Oh, yes, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay. You don't want
I'm a yeah, we're in the
to.
wedding industry. We all have to swear.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure that I filtered or did not filter myself. So you don't want to work with any influencer who has shitty engagement, who's like bought a bunch of bots and like is going to do
Yeah,
nothing for you, because that happens and it's
yeah.
horrible when it happens.
hmm
Oh
I
my
think,
gosh.
so do they meet that demographic? And for you, when you worked with influencers, like what what was it about them that you were like,
Yeah.
okay, this is a perfect fit?
I think they first of all, they were in love first and foremost. They were an authentic couple. They have a following because they're super authentic.
Bingo.
And I think the other thing is it was a good fit for my brand. Like they had a lot of style. They were getting married in a property at a mansion, which is, what I specialize in. And there were just a lot of characteristics that fit the bill. I have been asked for other types of it, inquired with other influencers. They've inquired with me and it wasn't the right fit. They weren't at venues I wanted to work at, or they just didn't feel like it was a little too like I don't want to say fake, but forced. Is
Mhm.
that the
Yeah, of
yeah,
right word?
yeah,
course, for
Yeah.
sure.
for sure.
So it just was like a very authentic connection. I adored them as a couple. I can see how they got the following they have because they are just really, awesome duo. So
Right.
yeah, I don't know if that is like some of the things that I'm supposed to look for, but
That's
yeah,
exactly. No, I
Yeah.
mean, you nailed it.
awesome.
Great experience. Good job. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, for you.
perfect.
Yeah.
It
But
was a good experience. So and
right
that I was nervous about it though because we did like discount, our services, but we both had a contract in place, so that was also
there.
really Oh,
Okay, standing
look, I
ovation.
did it. Thank you.
Thank
Okay, now
you.
I'm glad I did it right, right?
Yeah, but honestly, that right there is like where we found partners have totally fallen on their fucking faces.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
then it
I could
becomes
see
very,
it. Yeah.
oh, yeah. I mean, this
Mm.
is a business decision, and you made a marketing investment in this relationship by discounting your own time for something else, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at it as a marketing investment, then and they fit all of the like benchmarks you need, it has got to go. The give get needs to be in a contract, and
Yeah.
how many
No
times?
backdoor handshake
No,
deals here.
Oh
it's
my
That's like,
gosh.
you
I bet
shouldn't
that
do it.
happens all the time though. Like
Oh, I'm
most
I
sure.
of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
yeah, I don't even
In
know
this,
why I just felt like for my company to be safe, like I just wanted
Right.
to make sure
100%.
we had it in writing. So,
It's like with any
um
relationship, you want to just
yeah.
safeguard any or mitigate any risk that possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
have.
even with this podcast, like I have people sign a waiver and just
there's
making
that. We like
sure
that.
I
Yeah.
feel like I'm getting like all gold stars today from these
But
guys, and now I feel good. Yeah. I mean,
but
there's so much that I have to learn and fix and or I mean do, but I think like it's super helpful this conversation because I don't think I had anyone to look up to that was doing that. So it's nice of you guys to share this information and help your clients with it because
totally.
it's hard to navigate. You get excited first. You're like, sure,
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you realize that oftentimes, especially when, and I always suggest they have to pay something. Like it might be a discounted rate, but please, dear Lord, I don't care if you're giving them one
Yeah.
free flower. Like, please put it in a contract so that you know you're getting something
Something.
in return, and make them pay, even if it is a dollar, they're paying a dollar, which they shouldn't. They
Yeah.
should pay
They should pay a
that.
little more, yeah. But no, I agree. Yeah, and I do think people, like, so easily, like, sell themselves short a little bit, but, there's I try to look at it too and break it down for them, like, at the end of the day, I have hard costs as a business, I
I
have a
know.
team to
Hmm.
run, and it's not just the day of, it's not just the day of my team, I have staff that works for me throughout the year that are going to be helping on your wedding, so, unfortunately, we have to break even a little bit somehow, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
see the
More than.
RO yeah, the return needs to
Yeah.
be balanced, I guess. So,
I
yeah.
think the other benefit of working with influencers is that they may target an audience that don't follow you or they're not in the market yet,
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
they may focus on a specific demographic that like you don't normally hit,
Mhm.
and that's a
Right.
benefit to you, right? Because
Mhm.
especially if they're in the younger market,
Mhm.
like those people will age up eventually and get
Mhm.
married,
Mhm.
and then they will
Yeah.
know you, right? And so those are like benefits that you may not even think of that
Mhm.
you should be
Mm.
asking for. Like, can I see your insights?
Mhm.
What cities are most of your followers in? Because
Mhm.
they might hit
Yeah.
cities that you
I'm
don't
giving you a
ever
gold
plan.
star.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You
Gold
know?
star. There's the data side of everything too, and I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's so true. It's such a good way to get like authentically get in front of that like new demographic or something that you want to be working in.
Mhm.
Like my business partner and I, we're branching so much into destination work. And so you're
Mhm.
perking my ears like maybe we need to consider this because it could be a good way to get into the markets that we want to get into.
It's actually a very effective way to do exactly that. We've actually helped a couple of partners branch into more destinations and utilize that as a tool because it is really a
Yeah.
tool, right? There's someone who is looking to get married abroad, or you could convince them to get married abroad, or whatever it might be. It's important. And some big takeaways outside of what you just shared is when you're asking for the give get, like, are we doing a collaborator post? Are we going to be introduced? And
Mm,
I do suggest to be introduced along the process so they become just kind of infatuated with you as part of this influencer storyline. Like that is important
yeah.
so that they can see the thread line throughout.
Yeah, importance of
I
contracts
love that.
actually to outline those deliverables to say
Mhm.
like here is exactly what I get
Mhm.
because
Right.
you want to make sure that you're maximizing like you said that return
Mhm.
and
Mm,
also safeguarding your company and everything else. It's
Mhm.
like I need to know that I'm at least getting this,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
right? And that's important. So
No, that
And
makes
then,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, and this is one thing that I think more recently we've like made sure that we're thinking through is using someone's likeness, which wasn't a thing like a couple, even 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Use my likeness. What the hell did that mean? We have to make sure that there's a stipulation in there too, because all of these things matter. And I think one of the ways we've utilized influencers that's been the most beneficial is once the content has been pushed out, the wedding is done, the collab post has gone up, is the white labeling of the
Yeah.
content.
Yeah,
So
definitely. So like we basically white labeling
mhm,
means that like you can use the content as a part of like paid promotion.
mhm,
So you might see it a lot
Ah,
in e-commerce, but
mhm,
it's very much the same thing and
mhm,
it operates very
so
similarly to
smart.
how it could work in the wedding industry. It's like how
Yeah.
does my wedding, then you use it to promote it to a very specific audience
mhm,
and saying like,
Yeah.
oh, I only want to engage people to see this video.
mhm,
But like
Mm.
the content like the content includes the influencer within
mhm.
it.
That is so interesting. Wow. Thank you guys for your insight on that. I just thought I found that an interesting because some of the other services I think
People can digest it.
I think they can digest that more. Yeah, but I was very curious because I feel like we get asked a lot and they don't, quite understand where to go with that. So,
Yeah,
Hmm.
but
definitely. And I think just like rolling it back to the beginning of this conversation about
yeah.
just channels, right?
Yeah.
If you're not looking at your Google Analytics, you have no idea what the hell is going on,
Yeah.
essentially. Like if you're spending $1 of time or resources anywhere and you're not looking at like the mothership, which is Google.
Mm,
Yeah. Biggest, I think that is the biggest piece of advice because Google's free.
Mhm.
One, or
yeah.
Google Analytics is
Mhm.
free. It's
Yeah,
like
that part is free.
if yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it though? No, just kidding.
but if you're going to be creating a website, right, and
Mhm.
investing in a
Yeah.
website with like any of the amazing partners that do that in this industry, like make
Yeah.
sure you're on the back end being able to see
Mhm.
where are these people coming from, right?
I
And that's
guarantee no one's doing that. I guarantee.
we
We can
find that a
we
lot.
can we can co-sign on that.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah,
very
yeah.
rare. It's very
And I
rare.
mean, I think the people that start to get I mean, I'm lucky that I've leaned on a lot of professionals like you guys who have kind of guided me on that, but, like, also when I just was thinking, like, I need a pretty place to show my portfolio, and then they started really pushing, like, "We need to, really make this website rich with your SEO, and you need to be
Mhm.
tracking that, and you
Hmm.
need to be seeing how you're reaching different demographics," and, like, so that I feel like there's just so much power in knowing the data, but honestly, when you log on to Google, even just looking at the analytics, it's so confusing. So, I don't know if you
It's
guys have
so
any tips on how to get started with even just looking at it, you know what I mean? Yeah.
ABCs of
If
Google.
you don't have an Eddie, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Google, it certainly doesn't make it easy. It can be 100% overwhelming.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
there's just literally you log in, it's just numbers everywhere. Like the
yeah,
biggest thing that I would look at is just traffic acquisition source. That's
okay,
like the biggest thing because what Google will do is it will automatically bucket like this traffic came from Instagram, this traffic came from
mm,
organic search,
Mhm.
whatever. And there's one specific report that's a pretty generic one that lives in Google all the time
yeah,
as a default. It's just traffic acquisition.
Mhm.
It'll tell you exactly where all of this information is, like
Mhm.
where these people are coming from.
nice,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which is super helpful so you can really see what content you're putting out is working or
Totally.
Absolutely.
where you should focus maybe a little bit more time on, I don't know, or where you should focus more time on because 'cause you're not getting traffic from, I guess,
Yeah.
but
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. I think what we're finding is when the economy is like roller coastery, people get really scared. We know
yeah,
this.
like, I think we're going through that right now, right?
We
Yeah.
are.
So,
We
Totally.
yeah,
are. So
yeah,
the best piece of advice that we can give to your listenership is that if you look at your Google Analytics, then you can actually really nail down where you need to put your emphasis and your focus. Is like
100%.
if it's coming through Instagram, you don't want to shut off Instagram. Like you don't want to shut off
Yeah.
your timer. If it's Pinterest, which it often is, you don't want to shut
Mm,
that off because you're shutting off your leads as a result of that.
gotcha. That is so helpful and such good advice. How do you guys feel about, like, beyond Google Analytics, like, other sites that help? I mean, I know, like, even my Squarespace sites I look at their analytics. I'm just like a very curious person. I look at the Instagram analytics. I feel like I'm making Eddie happy with this
Yeah,
combo. So
definitely.
I'm just like a very curious person. So I
Yeah.
just like to look through it all. Not that I know how to translate it all the time,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
sometimes I just look. But do you feel those are also effective like sites in addition to Google, or is there other things you might recommend, I guess?
So your Squarespace, like, and anybody using Squarespace out there, I mean, most website platforms have some level of analytics. It just doesn't
Right.
give you everything,
Mhm.
right? It might tell you
Yeah.
where it's coming from, but like Google Analytics then breaks it down to like demographic,
Mhm.
like is it male or is it female?
Mhm.
What's the age
Uh,
demographic,
Mhm.
etc. And then like it could actually break it down to like what zip code or city is it coming from?
Mhm.
And like
oh.
there's
Mhm.
also another Google platform which is really interesting called Search Google Search platform, which
We're
is
about to nerd out here,
yeah,
folks.
Oh my God, I'm loving this.
take
I love
notes.
this.
Get your pad out and start writing
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, this is really interesting though. Yeah, I love it. Good, like geek out on us. I love it.
I mean, go off.
So it's called Google Search Console. It's also free. It all it just takes a little snippet of code on your site, but it actually tells you how people
Oh,
are finding you when they're googling. So
Mhm.
like it'll
okay.
tell you like the keywords that you need to be focusing on, and that helps you to
That's
drive like
insane.
Like,
Insane. Like it's all the info is like right there for you.
it
Like
is.
it's
it's this,
to help
It
and it's
is
you.
right there.
free, and it's free. It's crazy.
Yes. And I think that's
Crazy.
important. It's so important to just like pause and mention this because when people say that, like, well, most of my business is coming from word of mouth, bullshit. People are validating you somewhere. They're
Yes.
validating
Right.
you somewhere. So the origin could, and you know this better than anyone.
Yeah. I do think that it like word of mouth is just one small part and like there's just so many things that especially these like new generations need to see about your business to make sure that they feel like you're reputable, you're,
100%.
the
Oh my
right fit.
gosh.
It's just so much. So I can't even thank you guys enough. Even just these tidbits like help. Like people just have no idea. So
They
Yeah.
don't.
and if
Don't.
you're feeling like that, you're listening and you feel like you have no idea, like it's not something to say. I'm not saying it to be shameful. I'm saying it to open your eyes to what is
Mhm.
available to you. I have no doubt you guys are going to get a lot of increase from this episode just because people are like, yeah, we didn't realize and we don't want to be doing it ourselves. But I think like even just some awareness around it, you can take that control into your business. So it's
Totally.
crazy
Definitely.
though.
Yeah.
Like,
I think what you just said is so important, like the control, because you can control
yeah.
a lot more if you just like take this much time to look at the back end, the uglier things, quite frankly. Sorry. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah, sorry, Eddie. But it's also like it's just how I say talk about budgets for my clients too. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not what we want to talk about, but if we can really understand the framework of like what we're trying to do here, then it allows us to do the fun things and to get in return what we're looking for. So I feel like looking at this stuff is almost like critical in order to get to where you want to
Mhm.
go. Or you might just be a hamster like on a wheel, like going and not knowing what's working. I don't know.
a lot of this industry is there, I think. And even those that you think are not there, they're there. They're struggling with figuring out like what is the thing that's moving the needle and doing lots of things or nothing at all. Or
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
confusing.
I will say, like, big or
Mhm.
small, regardless of the company that comes to us from this industry, like, they generally have the same challenges.
Hmm.
Like,
Mm,
even the
that's
biggest companies
interesting.
aren't,
Hmm.
yeah, even the biggest companies don't have Google Analytics
Hmm.
or it's not working or whatever,
Yeah.
or it's not configured properly.
Hmm.
Like, those are, regardless, big or small, we're seeing it. And,
Hmm.
like, it's just
Yeah.
important to, like, find somebody to just help you out, just
Hmm.
to set it up correctly. Because
Yeah.
even if you don't look at it every month,
Hmm.
the fact that it's there at some point when you're ready, it
Hmm.
will be valuable.
Hmm.
Right. Right. No, I think it's yeah, I mean, so important. So I'm like so grateful that we talked about this topic because I just feel like it's one of those things that people are scared to even look into or they just put it on the back burner.
Totally.
Uh but yeah, it is a little bit of a in-depth, topic. So I feel like is there anything else though that you guys wanted to share on this particular little I feel like I could make
Gosh.
Eddie talk about you know.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm
I can
like, I'm
tell.
just going to default.
I know. I was like, uh-oh, I just opened up.
I don't know. I use a statistic a lot when I talk to clients. Is like you have to understand, like, from the perspective of your audience, that they have to have certain number of quality touch points regardless of the
Mm,
channel
Mhm.
to make a decision about you,
Mhm.
right? So
okay.
like that could be email, that could be Instagram, that could be your website. That's where the 360 comes in.
Mhm. Mhm.
But like but
Those
you
are
have
so
to
good. I love it.
understand.
You're like, "Wink, wink." Yeah. I got the marketers here. I knew it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Send
yeah.
it to the damn marketers.
But I think it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, there's a number of research out there, but it's like something like 20 touch points, right?
Yeah.
Quality touch points to be able to make
Yeah.
a decision about you. And like most people, their services aren't cheap, right? Like what you guys
Yeah.
do is amazing, but it is come with a cost.
Mhm.
And we typically say that's like a considered purchase where you
Mhm.
have to like
Yes.
research and do your due diligence
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
compare others like services against each other.
Mhm.
Like those quality touch points matter a
Mhm.
lot. But like you said earlier, like if you're
Yeah.
just in Instagram, that might not be enough,
Mhm.
Mm.
right? So you have to invest in some of these other platforms, whether it just be Pinterest also, or TikTok, or an email. Like those all matter to people.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I think it's so true. I especially find that in the markets like I've been sitting in and growing in, I'm kind of like in this like high luxury, easing into ultra luxury. And for me, reputation and kind of that presence everywhere is super important with my clients. Like they want to know that we've been around, that we're experienced, and that we can do
Mhm.
everything. It's been actually a challenge for us growing our new brand. I worked really hard on my old brand to put all those
Right.
things in everywhere. And so now we're rebuilding a little bit. So I hear in the industry so much like, "Oh, the leads are down. Like we're just experiencing this." And I'm like, I don't know if it's just that. Do you know what I mean? Like I think you have to
Oh,
also
can we
look
talk about that?
internally a
Yeah. How
little
much
bit.
time do we have?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, just dive in. No worries. We got some time for that. That's a good one.
Yeah. Actually, keep going. Finish your thought
Oh,
because it's
okay.
really
I
important what you shared. Yeah.
Yeah, I think and I'm guilty of it. So, like, honestly, like, we can sit in our pity a little bit and say, like, 2024 feels like low. Like, we're not it's just a weird year. Like, people aren't booking. And for me, the first question I had when we were experiencing some of this downturn is, what are we not doing, right? Like, what are we not spreading across enough? Or how many touch points are they getting? And I mean, I'll say it. My business partner, she was like, well, we're just so present on Instagram. I'm so surprised. And I was like, but that's like one small piece, right? And so we've been working so hard on extending ourselves in so many different ways. She's actually coming on my podcast, like other things that we can do to just really show our worth and our value, especially in a time where, I mean, I don't disagree that the things have been a little weird since COVID, of course, but
Mhm.
you can't just like blame it on that, I guess. Like you need to
No,
look at everything here. So I
completely.
hope
I
I like
think,
landed that where you wanted
oh,
it,
you
where I
landed
was
the
going.
plane, friend. You landed the
I've
plane.
landed the plane.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's standing ovation for you. Um, you know what I think it is, and we get into this like loop, right? This loop in this industry where leads are down. Oh, people aren't getting engaged this year. Like, what? Are we
I'm like,
okay? Are we okay? Have we lost our fucking minds? Like, this is not true. People are shopping differently and
Yes.
yes.
they're planning differently. They're not going to have the same lead time. Their expectations are different because everything is an instant society. You
Yes.
know, we cannot be banging our heads against the wall and being like, I post on Instagram every day. That's a top of funnel awareness method. Like, what
Yeah.
other things are we doing? Because it is it's called a marketing mix for a reason. And I think,
Hmm.
right? I mean,
I
Michael,
love what I love a marketing queen over
yeah.
it. I no, it's like seriously, I do think this is a huge thing people need to hear right now, especially like currently, because I'm
Yes.
hearing it across the board. And you can't give up, and you can't also sit back and just wait for things to happen for you. That's not
It's
how
not
this works. So
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
not going to happen. The stumble upon is not going to happen. I think the
yeah,
beauty of, if you will, of after COVID was like, it was very busy. Yes, everyone was very, very busy. Everyone raised their
yeah,
prices. that was a beautiful thing. And now this past year, and potentially next year, is more of a normal year. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be. It doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
but your method has to be different if you're not looking
Mm.
and assessing what you're doing and measuring that. Like, let's start there and then
Yeah.
work backwards. Like, let's assess and work backwards. And you'll see what's working really well, and then be exposed to all the areas that you should be investing in. And if you pick one of each, at least,
You'll
you'll
feel
probably
it.
be in a better situation.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like I feel like this isn't news, like, honestly, what part of business is never like this? Like, you always are kind of this trial, and, our industry is always changing, our clients are
Mhm.
always changing, so it's really just a good habit to get into, I feel like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just getting
Mhm.
control of your different channels and focusing and making it a priority. Because I think it's only gonna keep getting more and more confusing. So if you don't, I guess,
Yeah.
but
In
Yeah,
every industry ebbs and flows. Like there
totally.
will be
yeah.
always good years, there will always be bad years. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
And like, but the fact of the matter is that like people are always being born, people are always getting married, and people
Mhm.
are always dying. Right? Like
Yep.
those are the three things that will never.
So morbid, but it's the truth, like, it is.
Sorry,
It does, like it's the cycle, though, I get it, it's the
you're
cycle,
right.
you know?
But I will
Yeah.
say that Persephone like brought up a very good point is that like the buyer's behavior is completely different than it
Mhm.
was pre-COVID.
Mhm.
Like we see that in other industries that are connected to weddings, like
Mhm.
bridal gowns,
Mhm.
and like they're buying their dresses a lot later,
Mhm.
like closer to the time frame of when they're getting married. Like
Mhm.
that's a change.
Mhm.
Like
That's a
you would
huge
normally say
change.
like it's 9 months, but now it's
Yeah.
like whatever it is, 6 months. That 3 month change is big.
Mhm. I mean, if
Yeah.
they're even allowing themselves 6 months, some people are just
Yeah.
like, "Screw this, I'm gonna
No.
go buy something online and
Yeah.
Yep.
pray for the
I'm
best."
finding it in my internal group of friends too. Like I sometimes I'm like, I've been married so long, I like forget like what engaged couples are doing. But both of my best friends just got engaged, and one of them literally got engaged like 3 weeks ago. She's planning for May of 2024. Like we're talking
Whoa.
very soon.
Very
Yeah.
quick.
Mhm.
And she's not going crazy. Like she's buying online, a fabulous dress, but she is doing more intimate party. And then I have another friend that just got engaged, and she's planning for this coming November. So almost a year or less. And so I think like it's interesting even to like look at your close friends, and it's different. I used to have people booking 18 months out. So the
Mhm.
idea of this 6 months or 3 months, I'm like, we're about to shift and we need to be ready for it.
You have to.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Because
yeah.
that is, if you start to really hone in on, like, the areas of white space, the
Mm,
leads are going to be there. They are there. It's just getting in front
yeah,
of them where they and meeting them where they are, essentially. But
yeah.
even, again, like, dresses, let's just talk about that for a second.
I love dresses. Let's talk about that. We love to shop. Yeah.
Clearly.
Clearly. I love your background.
Thank you. It's my inspiration. Um,
I love it.
the truth is that now you have sites like My Teresa and Farfetch where you can buy a $15,000 Oscar de la Renta gown.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk to anybody, and they might hire you to spend half a million or whatever amount of money on a wedding in 6 months, and it's still a fabulous wedding. It doesn't
Yeah.
decrease the type. It's like just done slightly differently, and we have to be open to that shift because it is happening,
Yeah. That's like seriously, yeah, it's so true. And I think like that's exactly what we're experiencing right now.
right?
Things are shifting. People are planning differently, like you said, and they're making decisions. Most importantly, that rang the most out of our conversation. So it's just so interesting. So, but
Yeah,
it's a fun journey being an entrepreneur, isn't it?
it is so wild.
Really, yeah, wild journey. Well, no, seriously, thank you guys for, like, so much information. I feel like this is just so, like, helpful for people to really grasp their, minds around, so but, of course, I wanna move into the other some fun stuff because I want people to
So
get to know you guys, but I wanna ask you if there was, like, something, even each of you or together, that you wish other creatives knew, what might that be?
I think making sure that you have a plan, but having like that plan move and shift,
Mm,
because I think creatives, that word and umbrella often gets used in a way that's like they're just creating.
Artists, yeah.
I'm just an artist. I'm going to go by my emotion, and that's often true. But
Right.
data is artistic too. Like we're
Yeah.
all artists and creators in our own way. And so having some
Love that.
semblance of a plan, like something to measure against in general, that's something that internally, like we've really buckled down. And I can genuinely say like, we're in such a solid place as far as plan and execution. So yeah.
Nice.
Definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a big process driven type of girl, so I love that.
Process girly.
You
Yeah.
you can only be you can be the most creative in the world, but if there's no strategy behind it, it's just not gonna get implemented as beautifully as it should be, So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. That was a
Totally.
good one. Eddie, you
Thank you.
got big
Ooh,
shoes to fill,
ooh, ooh.
sorry.
Oh, man.
He's like still thinking.
No,
I know,
no.
I know, I put him on the spot.
Yeah. Wait, one second. I think call to actions matter
Mm.
a lot. I
That's a
think
good
more
one,
so
yeah.
than people like think that they do. And like in your whatever it is, your caption, your blog, your website, your email, make sure that you're very clear with what you want them to do because
Mm.
sometimes you have to really spoon feed your consumer to
Mhm.
do what you want. And it's
Yes.
okay. Like you're not being aggressive or salesy if you're asking them to do
Mhm.
what you want.
Mhm.
It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be like buy my thing,
Mhm.
but it can be massaged in a way that does get them to think like, should I be buying this?
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
important because people overlook that a lot, especially on Instagram.
Mhm.
I would say in their captions, like they're just not, you got to drive them to do something.
Mhm.
You want them to like
Right.
it or comment or, come to your website, whatever it is, like
Oh,
tell them.
Mhm.
yeah. No, that is good. I always tell people when I do, like, my presentations, like, ask for what you want, like,
Always.
put it out there.
Mhm.
Tell them what you want. So, honestly, like, I feel like I could be better at that. We all can be. So I'm gonna do like, I don't even think call to action is just, like, in the sales process, right? Like, even with my clients, there's so many things I have to babysit them on. I'll just be transparent. And, like,
Mhm.
at the end, I'm like, "I need you to respond by Monday, end of day, 5 PM Eastern Standard Time with this A, B, and C, or else, like, we're gonna have to change the, route that we're going," or something like that. So
Mhm.
I've been
Yeah.
working a lot on being more assertive this year.
Mhm. Get it.
So that's yeah, that's what I hear when it says call to action. Like, people appreciate it.
They do.
That's like
Totally.
they just wanna be told what to do.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah.
You both had great ones, so thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Well, a little more, like, lighthearted, my next question, but, like, any confetti hour confessions, like,
Ooh.
that you guys have?
Yeah. This is one that almost no one knows about me, and it's so random.
Ooh.
You obviously know this.
Yeah, I was
Ooh.
gonna say your husband probably knows, but
Juicy.
yeah,
It's
juicy.
so random that it's almost like embarrassing to say out loud.
No.
And I'm just gonna do it. So I was a management major, and I wanted and almost seriously minored in hip hop dancing.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
Like,
I love that.
seriously was like, you know what I think would be a really good grouping with business management? Hip hop
Hip
music
hop dance.
dancing.
That's Hey, my event associate that works for me, she also did, hip hop classes and dance in
Oh,
college, and she still does. Like, I think it's just another expression of creativity, and, like, I love that. I would never have known that, for sure. That was a perfect confession.
totally. I remember my dad was like, so long as you don't, like end the major, we're good. Like you can have whatever the hell you want. I'm like,
Yeah, they're like your parents are, like, freaking out. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
That is so funny. So you
So
knew that, Eddie, right? You knew that
Oh
though,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I
it's
do
like
know
an
Yeah,
that.
ongoing
yeah,
thing in my
yeah.
family.
I love it though. That's so cute. What
Totally.
about you, Eddie?
Oh my gosh. Oh man. I think so.
It's hard.
This is a little origin story, but I actually Persephone was dating somebody else before
Oh.
me, obviously.
Seems so
But I
cute.
was in love with Persephone for 9 months before I did anything about it. Actually, we were best
Oh,
friends for 9 months, but I
Yes.
was
stop it.
I was so smitten.
That is so cute. I love that.
No one
Honestly, it's
really
so
knows about that.
hard.
That's like
That's
that's
true.
like you have to be like in
In
I
our
that
didn't
inner
know that.
full circle to know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I know how amazing you guys are as a couple, but I did not know that, and I think that that's, like, super raw, like, I guess, like, we're all humans, we get nervous, and, I think, like, you're probably nervous to tell her how you felt, so
Oh,
Yeah, he shot
100%.
a shot.
I did. I shot my shot though.
Yeah,
you did it, though. You worked up the courage, and thank God you did because you have this beautiful life together now,
That's
so
it. Exactly.
the future
yeah,
here. But,
That's for your listenership. Shoot your shot.
yeah,
shoot your
exactly.
shot. I feel like that was a perfect confession for a wedding podcast because people that's, like, the basis of what we do. You know what else I love about you guys? I love that you renew your vows every year.
Every
I didn't
single
know
year.
that.
Every
Yes,
Yeah.
year.
yes.
I
Even if
think
they're
that
just
ama
in the house reading them to each
Mhm.
other, it's
mm.
and it's not on Instagram, it's
Yeah.
like we still do
It's just you
Yeah.
2. Yeah.
it every year.
It's so
Yep.
important. Yeah, we have ours framed in our bedroom, and so I like to look at them every day.
Yeah.
But when I think you shared one of your vow renewals on Instagram, and I was like, hit my husband. I was like, "Look, we have to do this every." He's like, "Why don't we just start with, like, 1?" I'm like, "Nope, every year." So,
Which
Yes.
one was that? The
yeah.
surprise one.
Oh, no,
You
this was the
surprised?
Vegas one. Yeah, I surprised him the year of COVID and like did a whole thing in Abbey
Oh,
Chew,
Yeah.
like shot it, and it was really, really cool.
so sweet.
My parents were there, the twins were there. It was really, really cool.
I was like, what the hell are we doing in this random field?
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
I'm going white, like bitching the whole time, but then was like, ah.
I also love, like, it's, like, so sweet you're doing this, but then, like, that's so marriage. Like, he's just sitting there bitching about being
Yeah.
in
Totally.
a
He's
field.
like, exactly. He's like, why are we putting our twins in all white and going in the middle of a field? I'm like, because we're going to, okay?
And I'm such the girl in this. I'm like, "Why not?" Like, I love that. Your
Exactly.
twins are also people need to know how adorable your twins are. They are just so much I don't know how you guys do it all. You're like rock
We
star
don't.
parents. Yeah. Yeah. You probably you have a great team and, you take it one day at a time like we all
That's
do,
That's
it.
so
it.
That's the only
That's
way.
exactly it.
That's the only way.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a blast.
Well,
It's
oh my
amazing.
gosh, it's awesome. Well, okay, of course, like I can't keep you forever. I'm sad because I would, but as we bring the episode to an end, what are you guys excited for the future? Like, what do you have coming up?
Oh man.
You
Yeah.
should definitely be paying attention to what's going on in Bridal Vogue. Bridal Vogue is going to be shifting a lot. I would say
Wow,
2024 is going to be probably one of the most important years for our business. So
Yeah.
that's
just
exciting.
watch and see. We're going to be dropping Easter eggs all over the place over the
Oh my
next
god,
couple.
I am a big Easter egg girl. I like love that. I'll be watching. I already stay tuned. I always am on Bridal Vogue. I love the content you put out. I'm always just so inspired by it. So I
Thank
really,
you.
yeah,
Thank
that's exciting though. And we'll be here cheering you on. And I'm gonna link all this down below. But where can everyone find you guys on social media and your other channels?
you. Mhm.
Oh.
Look at
Ooh,
me. I know.
yes. So you can find us at themediasocialites.com, Media Socialites, the Media Socialites everywhere. And then me personally at Persephone Says
Oh. I'm
Cute.
at Maglaya.
and Bridal Vogue. So lots of
Yeah.
different multi-channels. And yeah.
And if you're at Engage ever, come on
Yes,
up and just
come
say
and say
hello.
Yes.
Shameless
Yeah.
plug, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
content. So.
You have to plug. And also congrats, I know you're speaking at one of the upcoming engages, so
Yes.
I that's gonna be so helpful for everyone in the audience, and
It's
hopefully
going
I'll
to be
see
fun.
you.
Of
Yeah.
course. Of course. We're excited.
Oh,
But
awesome.
thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
coming on.
Thank
I
you.
adore you both, and
We
I
love
just really
you.
appreciate you.
Of
Oh my
course. We
God,
love
you're
you so much. Thank
amazing.
you for the time. We're
Yeah.
excited.